huge implications this week on the Korn Ferry Tour, and that's why we are here to break them down for you. Hi, everybody. This is a GolfNewsRI special broadcast. I'm Joe Calabro. Thanks for tuning in. Lots going on this week. Big week on the Korn Ferry Tour, on the Nationwide Children's Hospital Championship taking place out at Ohio State University's golf course. So, big implications this week. Obviously, we're going to focus on Davis Chatfield and Patrick Welch, but implications for everybody. So, without further ado, let's break it down. Okay, so before we get to Chatfield and Welch's situations, they're both very different, or not very different, but pretty different. Let's just get to the breakdown of the numbers and what kind of the cutoffs are for this week. So for this week, again, this is just specifically this week, the Korn Ferry Tour Championship and early next month has their own different set of numbers. So let's just focus on this week for now. The top 75 players on the Korn Ferry Tour points list, which you can see hyperlinked in the article you're currently reading, get into the Korn Ferry Tour Championship next month. Now, more importantly, almost more importantly, particularly for Davis and Patrick, the top 75 players earn full Korn Ferry Tour status for next season. So huge implications there. Now, if you finish also the top 75, there are also benefits, just not as good as having a full-time job for next season. If you're inside the top 85, you get to skip to the second stage of PGA Tour Q School. Inside the top 100, you get conditional status on the Korn Ferry Tour for next season with the ability to obviously earn more starts with good play and the reshuffle. So that's sort of the breakdown. So again, top 75 on the points list after this week, you get full Korn Ferry Tour status for 2024. Top 85, you get to skip, or from 75 to 85, you get to skip to the second stage of Q School, PGA Tour Q School. Again, Q School is different this year. They changed it back to the PGA Tour Q School. We'll have more on that next week. But 75 to 85, you get to skip to the second stage of Q School. And then if you're inside the top 100, you get conditional status on the tour, on the Korn Ferry Tour next week. So with that said, with those numbers broke down, let's get into the specific players again, with a focus on Patrick Welch and Davis Chatfield. All right, we want to start with Patrick Welch first, former classical star, classical grad, Oklahoma star. He's obviously been playing pretty well this month, or this season on the Korn Ferry Tour. So here's the breakdown for him. Coming into this week, he currently sits at 79 on the Korn Ferry Tour points list. Last week's tournament, he was tied for first after the first round, and then he kind of slid down the leaderboard after that with a 73, a pair of 72. So he comes in this week at number 79, which means he really needs to have a good week. Top 10 finish, or probably better, somewhere along those lines to get inside the top 75. So a huge week for him, a career-changing week for him if he can earn full status next season. But he needs to play well, and obviously, the people around him could play badly. So the points fluctuate as we've seen, the rankings fluctuate as we've seen throughout the season. Things can change quickly. So, but he definitely has to play well. Certainly has to make the cut at the very least, and then go from there. So a big week for Patrick. So again, he's number 79 on the points list. So if he stays between 75 and 85, or 76 and 85, I guess, he gets to skip to the second stage of PGA Tour Q School. And then obviously, no matter what, he's not going to fall outside the top 100. But he'll have conditional Korn Ferry Tour status next season, and he can earn more with good play. So a big week for Patrick, maybe the biggest golf rounds of his young career, you certainly could argue, and we'll see how he does. But that's kind of his status. So number 79 right now, has a good week and get inside the top 75, and then he'll earn full Korn Ferry Tour status. If not, he'll get kind of kind of a bye, if you will, for lack of a better word, into the second stage of Q School, and then go try to earn his way back on there from there, or play on the Korn Ferry Tour conditionally. Certainly the Monday qualifiers could be a thing for him, and see if he can work his way into more Korn Ferry Tour starts. So that is the breakdown for Patrick Welch. Again, he was off to a great start last week and kind of faded over the last 3 rounds and over the weekend. So we'll see if he bounces back this week. Now, on to Davis Chatfield. Okay, so for Chatfield, his situation is a little less dire. He's in better shape, obviously, than Patrick is as far as the top 75, but he still needs to have a good week. Last week he missed the cut, and I thought, oh man, this is really gonna kill his rankings. But he ended up only dropping 1 spot. He was rejected for a little while to drop from 60. I think it was 64. He was projected to drop from 64 to 68. But by the end of the week, and by the time everybody finished, he only had dropped 1 spot. So he's number 65 right now on the Korn Ferry Tour points list. Again, top 75 earned full Korn Ferry Tour status for next season. So super important. So for Davis, he should be a lock to get inside the top 75. As we've seen, things happen, crazy things can happen, the points shift quickly, but he should be a lock to get inside the top 75 with a good tournament this week. Certainly a missed cut would make things interesting, but again, last week I thought when he missed the cut, I thought he was gonna plummet kind of, and he didn't drop 1 spot. So it's hard to see him dropping 11 spots. That's a big drop. Again, just be outside the top 75. So even if he drops 10 spots, that's only he's right on the number. So hard to see him dropping 11 spots, but things happen. So hopefully he plays well. Now, the flip side of that is if he does play well and he gets a top 10 finish or top 12 finish like he had a few weeks ago, and he moves up the rankings and he gets into the 50s or maybe even the high 40s, that's probably a stretch, but certainly if he wins or has a top 5 finish, that's possible. So if he plays well and gets into that kind of a position, now going into the Korn Ferry Tour Championship, you certainly have to say he has an outside shot of getting into the top 30. Top 30 after the Korn Ferry Tour Championship, you get your PGA Tour card. So obviously he has a long way to go. You have to have a good round and a good tournament, a good tournament. So that's a little ways off, but big rounds this week for both Patrick Welch and Davis Chatfield, and that's kind of the breakdown of where each player is. Again, Patrick is number 75. He needs a good tournament this week to get inside the top 75. He's number 79. He needs a good tournament this week to get inside the top 75. And Chatfield is 65 and needs to play well to maintain that position. But in theory, he should be a lock barring something crazy happens. So that is the breakdown. It'll be a fascinating tournament to watch. And then next week we have Q schools starting and things of that nature to follow as well. So good luck to both Davis and Patrick this week. This has been a special GolfNewsRI this broadcast. I'm Joe Calabro. Have a great day, everyone.